After being blackmailed by his sister, he had to play a dating game which he totally hated. He couldn't stand the stupid romance, because there was no gender equality and all the weird rules favored only the women. To win, he actually spent real money on a super powerful item and pulled all-nighters until he finally beat the game. But right when he thought he was free, he accidentally deletes himself from the world instead of deleting the game. And to his surprise, he gets reincarnated to same game he played. But luck was still not on his side, as he is now reborn as a side character named Leon, instead of some main character. Leon decides to live a peaceful life, away from the drama of the main storyline. But his peaceful life is ruined when his stepmom asks him to marry her friend, an ugly fat woman who is twice his size. Leon realizes in order to escape this marriage, he needs a lot of money and enter an academy to live his life peacefully. So he uses his knowledge from the game and locates the overpowered ship that he had purchased to win the game. After sneaking in the ship, Leon suddenly found himself face to face with a huge robot. The robot attacks, but Leon uses a regular grenade to bypass its magic shield. It grabs Leon and demands the date according to the new calendar. Leon, clueless, admits he doesn't know. The robot deduces that the new humans have bested the old ones with magic and declares its mission to destroy the new humans, starting with Leon. The robot then gave him a bear hug as it squeezed him like a tube of toothpaste. He quickly pulled out his short sword and launched the blade straight into the robot's eye, causing it to malfunction. He then scans his hand to gain control of the ship, which surprisingly accepts him as its new master due to his mix of old and new human traits. He names the ship Luxion, as it was called in the game. But his victory is short-lived as he collapses from his injuries. 3 months passed and Leon's stepmom happily assumes that Leon must have kicked the bucket since he hasn't shown up. That's when Leon comes back on his ship with loads of treasure that he picked up from raiding dungeons. Thanks to his game knowledge, he's now loaded and can laugh in her face whenever she nags about marriage. But looks like this world has only one academy, so he had no other choice but to join it. Upon arrival, he spots the start of the game's storyline and the annoying characters he used to hate. Seeing them, Leon crosses his fingers and hopes he can live like a low-key side character, staying far away from the main plot and its craziness. Moments later, he sees a girl named Marie giving a good high five on the face of Prince Julius. The whole scene seems oddly familiar to Leon, but he realizes that in the game, Olivia, the main character, should have been the one delivering those lines. Leon can't help but feel that Marie is up to something fishy. Later that day, Leon makes friends with 2 boys named Daniel and Raymond. The 3 of them became friends quickly over their shared struggle of having low riz to find decent wives, joking that they might as well start a club for romantically challenged people. During class, Leon got a serious lecture from his teacher about his lazy attitude towards tea parties. He thought they were boring until his teacher described him the plot so beautifully that Leon was moved to tears. Suddenly, he decided to call his teacher Master. After class, Luxion scanned the game world and proudly brags to Leon that he was basically the coolest piece of tech around. Later that day, Leon stumbles upon Olivia, the game's leading character, being picked on for being a commoner. Feeling bad for her, Leon decides to team up with Olivia during their dungeon class, even though he'd rather avoid getting involved up in the game's drama. Moments later, Leon witnesses a quick showdown between Marie and a girl named Angelica. Prince Julius interferes and chooses Marie over Angelica, who happens to be his fiancée. After solo leveling the dungeon by himself, Leon noticed the prince and his gang showing up too. Just as others arrive, the prince and his gang swoop in to take down the last few monsters and steal all the credit. Olivia arrives and heals Leon's wounds, using her healing spell. Meanwhile, Marie also uses the same magical healing trick on Julius. Things take a twist when Angelica tries to help but gets publicly brushed off by Julius, who then leaves with Marie. Witnessing all this, Leon starts getting worried over how Marie, with her sneaky ways, seems to be rewriting the game's story and replacing Olivia as the story's main character. The next day, trouble starts brewing for Marie when bullies decide she's their new favorite target. Julius then blames Angelica for the chaos and forbids Angelica from hanging out with him ever again. Leon realized that the plot changed as it was supposed to be much later in the storyline. Leon finds himself unintentionally getting closer to Olivia, and later on they catch Marie secretly making out with Brad, one of Julius's buddy. Leon continues to spy on her, and later on found out that she is fully aware that she is in the game world and might have reincarnated just like Leon. It is then revealed that she is planning to win over all the game's love interests, aiming to become the ultimate queen of simps. Later that day at a tea party, Leon and his friends fail to impress any girls due to their low riz. Meanwhile, Angelica tried to tell Julius about Marie cheating on him with his friends, only to find out he already knew about it. Marie has successfully made all 5 love interests fall in love with her, and they've now decided to compete for her love. Furious with Marie's games, Angelica challenged Marie to a duel, but she is surprised when all 5 guys jumped in as Marie's defenders. On the other hand, there was no one who wanted to side with Angelica. Leon decided to show them who is the main character and takes Angelica's side, just to have fun. He declares that his plot armor is enough to solo against the 5 simps, without anyone's help. The prince and his pals are offended by Leon's attitude and try to talk him out of it, but he's too busy betting he can mop the floor with them without breaking a sweat. Leon found out that the students were betting on his duel, mostly betting against him. So, he did what any confident underdog would do, bet a small fortune on himself. When Daniel and Raymond joined in with their own bets, Leon was so touched, he almost shed a tear. But then, Angelica tried to talk sense into him and asked him to quit. Instead of backing down, Leon doubled down on his determination, and Angelica started to wonder if maybe he'd been hit on the head too many times with a practice sword. On the day of the big duel, Leon decided to use his gaming knowledge to get Luxion to fetch him some super strong armor. But when he stepped out in his oversized mech, the crowd burst into laughter. Compared to the modern mechs of his rivals, he looked like he was ready to battle a medieval tank. Meanwhile, Olivia was worried and still had her fingers crossed that he'd pull through. Leon's first opponent, Brad, was no pushover. Leon remembered him as a real tough nut in the game. To make matters worse, in his haste, Leon had grabbed a massive shovel instead of a sword. This made Brad think that he was looking down on him. But when the fight started, Leon surprised everyone. Despite having a heavier and bigger mech, he moved faster than the modern ones. The battle was completely one-sided and Leon won that round easily. The crowd went from laughing to dead silent, stunned by Leon's unexpected victory. His next opponent is Greg, but Leon easily overpowers him. He smacks his armor once, which destroys it completely and forces Greg to surrender. For his third match, Leon faces Chris, who is a top-tier swordsman. So Leon just shoots at him until Chris can't fight anymore. Throughout each match, Leon entertains himself by tossing out ridiculous insults and mocking them. Jilk, not wanting Leon to embarrass the prince like the other fighters, sneaks around and plants explosives on Leon's armor. Little does he know, Leon's got a secret weapon. Luxion, who tips him off about the whole plot. Leon just chuckles because he knows they're going to cheat and his special armor can handle the impact. The fight starts, and Jilk sets off the explosives right away. There's a big cloud of smoke, but when it clears, Leon stands there completely fine. He easily takes down Jilk and wins another round. Marie, fuming at her failure, accidentally lets slip her real gold digger self to Prince Julius as the next match kicks off. The crowd was roaring, clearly rooting for Leon to lose. They didn't want to kiss their bets goodbye. Just before the fight, Leon casually asked Julius about Olivia. Julius admitted he'd heard of her but never met her, which Leon found ridiculous because Olivia and Julius were supposed to meet right at the start of the story. Leon couldn't resist and teased Julius about sharing Marie with the other love interests. Julius, however, declared that Marie loved him for his true self, unlike Angelica, who only cared about his status. Angelica, overhearing this, started to cry, realizing that Julius had chosen Marie over her. Subscribe for Part 2.